According to the clock, it's 6:30. We'll call the meeting of Agenda Committee to order. And if you would please register your presence by voting yes. We lost the screen. There we go. Mr. Stinnett, do you wish the floor? Your mic is on. There we go. Okay. You got the total? Here. Okay. Mr. French is here.
We have 20 present.
20 present. We do have a quorum.
Every vote is going to need a battery.
Yeah. Can we get a battery for Mr. French's voting box, guys? And we go ahead and roll the emergency announcement, please.
Before we get started, let me read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm will sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you have reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles.
Next item is the setting of the agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to set the agenda. Commissioner, is that Lewis? Commissioner Lewis moves. Commissioner Carver seconds. The board is clear. If you're in favor of setting the agenda, please vote yes. Please vote.
Okay, wait a minute.
Bear with us, folks.
Okay.
Miss Margaret's on the board tonight, and
We have 20 voting yes, 1 absent.
20 yes, the agenda is approved. Now, is there anyone who wishes to speak to an item that is on the agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Commissioner.
be picky that we set the agenda, we didn't approve it.
Oh, did we not?
You announced that we approved the agenda, but we actually set the agenda. We had to do a meeting over in February a couple of years ago because
I thought I took a motion to set the agenda, and we voted it,
and you announced that we approved the agenda.
so we've set it.
You said,
Okay, we've set the agenda. The agenda is set. Now, is there anyone who wishes to speak to an item that is on the agenda? Seeing no hands, we'll move on. Next item is the approval of the agenda minutes, item D, from the March 8th meeting. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes as published.
Motion is to approve the minutes as published. Is there a second? Commissioner Carver. Now is there discussion? The board is clear. If you are in favor of approving these minutes as published, please vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no.
Voting yes.
19 yes, 1 abstain. The minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda are items for the consent calendar for the next meeting. Chair will entertain a motion for the consent calendar as printed. You've had a chance to look at it. Is there a motion? Motion to move the consent calendar forward. Is there a second? Commissioner Lewis made the motion. Second?
Second.
Commissioner Farmer. Discussion. The board is clear. If you are in favor of moving the items to the main agenda, please vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. 20 yes, 1 absent. I'm sorry, I should have told you Commissioner Bowers had a conflict in scheduling tonight and couldn't be with us. Next item on the agenda is the unfinished business. There is none. Under item G, budget transfers. Let me catch up with myself here. Item G1, there are no budget transfers. There are 3 budget increases. G2, A, B, and C. Chair will entertain a motion on G2A, which is the architect for roof replacement for the schools in the amount of $55,000. Is there a motion? Commissioner French, is there a second? Now, is there discussion? This is to move the item to the full agenda. Commissioner Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's been discussion about fixing 11 roofs. How many roofs would this 55,000 address?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, but I couldn't hear you myself.
Okay, there's been discussion about fixing 11 roofs. How many will this 55,000 address?
Or Mr. Farmer? Commissioner Farmer, I'm going to answer. Go ahead, Commissioner.
This should address architectural fee for approximately 4.
Okay, and why 4? Is that what you're going to plan to do over the summer?
That's just the priority items that we'd like to get started immediately. And you have to approve the architectural fees before we can start.
Okay, what was the architecture? The last time we did 2 roofs, wasn't it something even more than what we're seeing for 4? I'll have to go back and pull those numbers. We had 2 fixed.
If you're actually speaking of the William Blount and Heritage job, it probably was, but realistically, that was actually 6 roofs that were done. Then there were 3 done at William Blount and 3 done at Heritage. I don't recall what the exact numbers were on that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, the board is clear. If you're in favor of moving this item to the full agenda, please vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no. Please vote. That item moves to the full agenda. The next item is under schools replacement of football stadium lights and poles, $380,000, item G2B. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to move it forward to the full commission.
Commissioner Moon moves to the full commission. Is there a second? Where was that? I'm sorry. Commissioner Caskey. Now, is there discussion? The board is clear. If you are in favor of moving this item, please vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. Please vote. 20 yes, that item moves forward. The third item, G2C, is under highway, state reimbursement for the Defoe right-of-way changes, $103,650. Chair will entertain a motion to move it to the full agenda.
Motion to move to full agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Farmer moves. Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Kaler. Now, is there discussion? If you are in favor, vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no. Please vote.
Voting yes, 1 absent.
20 yes, that item moves forward. Under item G3, other budget items, the fleet lease agreement G3A, we need action on all 3 of these. The fleet lease agreement, the fiber internet contract, laptop lease agreement for the sheriff's office, and the litter grant. The chair will entertain a motion on one or all.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send the fleet lease agreement on to the agenda for the full commission.
Okay. Commissioner Moon moves the fleet lease agreement. Commissioner Carver, I almost did the same thing, Mr. French. Seconds. Is there discussion? Board is clear. If you're in favor, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. 19 yes and 1 abstain. That item moves forward. Next item is the fiber internet contract agreement. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the fiber internet contract, the laptop lease agreement for BCSO, and the litter grant be moved forward.
Commissioner Moon moves forward, makes a motion to move forward A, B, and C. I'm sorry, B, C, and D, I guess. Or what is that?
B, C, and
8? Oh, the litter grant is later in the agenda as well. So we can go, do you want to go ahead and include it now?
That's my motion.
Okay. Okay, he's moving the litter grant, the laptop agreement, and the internet agreement. And if you'll notice, we will be dealing with item 8 now, under G8. Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second? Commissioner French. Now discussion? Any discussion? If you're in favor of moving these 3 items to the agenda, please vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. Please vote.
We have 20 voting yes and
20 yes. Those items move forward. Back to the agenda. Item number 4, placement of the item to fill the vacancy of the highway superintendent pursuant to TCA 5-5-111 at the April 21st County Commission agenda. At the April 21st County Commission meeting agenda. Is there a motion to put this item on the agenda? Commissioner Melton, is there a second? Second. Commissioner French, now is there discussion? Board is clear. If you're in favor of putting this item on the agenda for the April 21st meeting, please vote yes.
voting yes, 1 absent.
20 yes, that item moves forward. Next item is appointments to the Board of Equalization. David Caldwell, Bob Ivins, Eddie Johnson, Bruce Rechtenwald, and David Weaver. Chair will entertain a motion to move these items to the appointments section of the agenda of the main meeting. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move it forward. It's required by statute.
Commissioner Moon moves it forward. Is there a second?
Second.
What was that? Commissioner Hedrick. Now, is there discussion? Hang on just a second. Commissioner Monroe, let me get the mic. There we go.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are these 5 already on this body? Or are these 5 already on this body?
I don't know the answer. They are? They currently serve.
Okay. Was this published on the county's website?
I don't know the answer to that. Was
That
it
the
published?
vacancies were coming up?
The membership would have been on the website, I believe, would it not have been?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Let me get your mic on. Go ahead, Commissioner.
The statute that deals with this says that the county legislative body shall in every even year in April appoint a board of equalization. I don't know if it was published or not, but that's what the state law is. We have to deal with this every April of each even year.
Okay. One of these gentlemen is on the planning commission, right? Do we have anybody else apply besides these 5? And if so, where would they go to apply? Do they contact Rhonda? Do they contact their commissioners? How do they apply?
I think they have to contact the chair, don't they?
They contact the chair. It's been past practice, names to be submitted to the commission office. Have we received any other names other than these names, Rhonda? Okay, thank you.
Do you think that it would help this community if we had just made it something on the website of submit names here? I think it would be helpful if we could have a uniform process. I don't think a lot of people would even know how to go about, other than maybe contacting their commissioner. I'm not sure very many people would even know how to go about saying, I would like to serve on one of these bodies. I think there is a spot on the website, or there used to be, about availability of of committees. So I'm just thinking if we could
I think it's there, isn't it?
just on there, just state something simple like submit to,
We can check into that.
just make it real simple and uniform so that people know how to submit their names if they're interested in what we want, if we want a resume, what we're looking for from them, the deadlines and all of that. I think that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, yes,
Just one other item.
let me get your mic on. Go ahead.
After the appointment's made in April, if there are any vacancies or resignations, there again by statute, they're filled by the mayor, sworn in by the mayor. They don't come back to this body. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, if you're in favor of moving these nominations forward, please vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. Please vote. Commissioner Carter, you going to vote?
We have 20 voting yes, 1 absent.
Those nominees move forward to the full commission. Yes.
I'd like to request, since there was a unanimous vote on this item, move forward, that could be placed on the consent calendar. Members ask for unanimous consent.
Members ask for unanimous consent to move this to consent calendar. Since it was unanimous, is there objection? Seeing no objection, that item will move to the consent calendar. Next item is the appointment to the Audit Committee, Commission appointment. Chair will open the floor for nominations to the Audit Committee. This is to replace Mr. Kaler, who has submitted his resignation when he went to the Budget Committee. So, anyone? Commissioner Monroe.
I nominate Commissioner Karen Miller.
Okay, we have Commissioner Karen Miller. Anyone else? Commissioner Allen, let me get your mic. Go ahead, sir.
Nominate Commissioner French.
Commissioner French?
Mr. Chairman, I think we need seconds on these nominations.
Okay. Do we?
By local
Okay.
rule.
Okay, by local rule. Let's back up. We need a second to Commissioner Miller's nomination.
I'll
Is-
second the motion.
Okay. Now, is there a second to Commissioner French? No. Second to Commissioner French. Now, is there another nomination?
Move nomination cease, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, I have Miss Miller wanting the floor. Commissioner
I'd
Miller?
like to nominate Jamie Daly.
Is there a second to Jamie Daly? Commissioner Monroe. So we have 3 nominees at this point. Commissioner, go ahead, sir. Did you want the floor?
Mr. Chairman, I move that nominations close.
Have a motion, nomination cease. Is there a second? All in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? So those 3 nominees will move forward to the full commission. We'll choose from those 3 nominees.
We usually go ahead and elect.
I thought we could only nominate here. We can't elect. Okay, so those 3, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner French, and Commissioner Daly will move as the nominees. Next one is appointment to the IT Committee of Margaret Flynn. This is a county mayor's appointment. The chair will entertain a motion to Commissioner Farmer, second Commissioner Carver. Is there discussion? If you're in favor of moving this item forward, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. Please vote.
So we have 20 voting yes, 1 absent.
That item moves forward.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
member asks unanimous consent to place this on the consent calendar since it was a unanimous vote.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Pardon me? I couldn't hear.
See if you ask for unanimous.
Okay, there's objection, so.
No problem.
All right, next item is the resolution authorizing submission of well, we've already dealt with that, number 8. Number 9, the resolution to restructure the Blount County Human Resource Insurance Committee. Chair will entertain a motion to move it forward. Commissioner Carver, is there a second? Commissioner Lewis, now is there discussion? The board lights up like a Christmas tree. Commissioner Caskey, you're up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, tomorrow in the Senate, they're voting on a bill, SB 466, which would have a direct impact on this resolution and on this committee, and not only on that committee, but on all the committees of this body. And in fact, it would have a direct impact on this body as a whole. That vote will be held tomorrow in the Senate. They have substituted HB 985, which passed the House 88-1. So with that in mind, not knowing the impact of those bills and not knowing what's going to happen with those bills, I think it would be prudent if we postpone the vote on this, consideration of this, until the May agenda meeting. So I would move that we postpone until the May agenda meeting.
That's a motion to table to postpone. A motion to postpone, I'm sorry.
Second.
I have a second, motion and a second to postpone. Is there discussion on that? I don't think, is there? Okay. Oh, I want to postpone to a certain date. Yes, there is discussion. Now, if you wish to discuss the postponement, there are 3 people on the board, Commissioner Daly, Commissioner Stinnett, and Commissioner Monroe. Do anyone, Commissioner Daly, do you wish to talk about the postponement? Commissioner Stinnett, do you wish to talk about the postponement? Yes, sir. Okay, go ahead.
The legislation in Nashville, this was written so that doesn't affect this at all. We're talking about, and it's one reason I've wanted to bring this to us is because of the fact that we're going to have 5 commissioners on there. Until this passes, we won't even be able to elect those 5 commissioners. So it'll be May before we can do that anyway. And if we wait, right now our HR, they're dealing with Affordable Care Act, and they need some guidance right now. And putting this off another month is really putting us in a bind for next year. And I don't think that what's going to happen tomorrow in Nashville is going to affect this at all. Next week, if we pass this, it'd be another month before we put members on it. So I don't think that putting this off is going to change anything. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Monroe, do you wish to discuss the postponement? Okay. I'm sorry, let me get your mic on here. Well, there we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The legislation that's in Nashville right now may actually make it very difficult for our HR committee to operate as it exists now. I think actually postponing it may put us in a problem. I think the sooner we do this, if that becomes law, the sooner we do this, the better, because it's quite possible that several of the members that are on there now will not be able to vote on their because they're dealing with their own benefits. So I don't see any reason at all to postpone this. I think it needs to go forward now. Thank you.
Commissioner Farmer?
No, I disagree completely. If you say they need assistance now, there's already a sitting committee. You're wanting to decrease the number of members on the committee and only have 5 commissioners on it. I don't really see that you're attempting to help the situation. And I will agree with Mr. Caskey. You've got a bill down there that we don't know what the outcome's going to be, and yet you're wanting to get this through before we see what it's going to be. I don't think that's prudent.
Commissioner Stennett, you're the only one on the board, and you are speaking for the second time.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Chairman. This is designed so no matter what they decide in Nashville, this will work. This, the main thing we need is guidance from those local experts in HR, people who do this every day for a living, who understand how the Affordable Care Act is going to affect us in the near future. We need those people's help today, not next month, not the following month. We need it today. We've got 2 HR people who are trying to service 4,000 members. They need help. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Moon.
I'm off the board, sir.
Oh, okay. Board is clear, and we're on the motion to postpone until the May meeting. Anyone else wish to speak? Board is clear. If you are in favor of postponing until May this item, please vote yes. If you wish to deal with it as it is now and for this month, vote no. If you're in favor of postponing, vote yes. Please vote.
We have 7 yeses, 12 noes, 1 abstaining, 1 absent.
The motion to postpone fails with 12 noes. So we are back on the original motion to move this item forward to the main agenda. Does anyone wish to speak? Commissioner Miller, let me get your mic.
Yes, I'd like my name to be on this resolution.
Okay, without objection, Commissioner Miller wishes her name to be added. Commissioner, is that all, Commissioner?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowe.
Yes, on the main motion, I've heard it said that the reason for doing this is they need guidance, which worries about where has our guidance been. The second one that I hear is we need experts on it. And to me, you're losing experts. The department heads know their employees. They know what they mean. These elected officials, they are experts. You're losing them. And what we continue to forget is that the employees are the true experts because they're using the benefits, and you continue to remove them. This body is the purse manager. Let them research and come up with what works best for them, and the final buck stops here. Commission gets to vote. So I disagree with the whole motion because I don't think it accomplishes what it was set out to accomplish. Thank you.
Commissioner Monroe, you're speaking for the second time.
First time was on the postponement.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Okay,
Go
thank you,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman. I think this is a fantastic thing. I'm glad it's been brought forth. It's a huge step in the right direction. As far as having some people from the business people from the community, there was a similar resolution to amend or to restructure the Human Resources Committee that was brought forth a couple of months ago. And if it had not been withdrawn, I was actually going to put an amendment on the floor to add some business people. So I'm really thrilled to see what Commissioner Stennett has offered, and I too would like to have my name on here as a sponsor of this resolution.
Without objection, Commissioner Monroe's name's to be added to the. Commissioner Stennett, you wish to speak?
Yes, sir. I'd like to, guys, right now the committee is made up of department heads, elected officers. For instance, the sheriff, he's an expert on public safety. He knows nothing about the Affordable Care Act and how it's going to affect us by 2022 when it goes in full force. The road superintendent, he's an expert in building roads. He's not an expert in being in HR. We've got people committed to us who are in the HR business every day of their life who are wanting to help us. I just don't understand why that doesn't benefit Blount County. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Moon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would these 6 experts be refused from advising us under our current structure? Should not elected officials be held accountable for their recommendations and their votes as to the benefits for their employees? I just don't see why by voting against this resolution that we're excluding advisory or any expert that would like to come and offer their services to Blount County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Aker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I tend to agree that it's best to separate the voting members that have a vested interest in the outcome from having some experts in the field involved in it. I believe that this is a much needed thing in this particular instance and many others in Blount County, and I wholeheartedly support it and would like to add my name to it as well.
Without objection, Commissioner Aker's name will be added. Any further? No. Okay. Commissioner Caskey?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, what this resolution does, it removes all the accountability of department heads. Here you have people who are dealing with their employees every day on an everyday basis. Their employees expect them to be accountable. The citizens expect them to be held accountable. Removing all of those folks off of here and putting 5 commissioners, that's fine. You still have 5 commissioners on here. There is nothing that prohibits volunteers from coming forth and advising the committee or advising this commission. There's nothing that prohibits that now. I believe in more accountability, not less, and this resolution gives less accountability. The elected office holders would be held accountable. This body has the ability to appoint members to that committee. If it chooses not to appoint someone, they can vote against them. That's the way the process works. I'm going to oppose this because it does not accomplish what I think that needs to be accomplished on the HR committee, and that's more accountability, not less. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner French, I'm going to call on you. Commissioner Stinnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner French.
I'm not opposed to having experts on the committee. I am opposed to not having department heads on the committee. I think your department heads they're at the top echelon of the departments. They're the people that are going to make the decisions. They need to be on this committee. Now, whether it's a voting committee, whether they're voting positions or not, makes no difference to me. But they need to at least have some say-so on that committee. It's crazy to have an HR committee that would not have department heads on it. I just don't understand that. I don't know of any situation in the corporate world that's in that situation. I don't know of any corporate companies that don't include department heads in their HR decisions. I just think it's crazy not to have them there. And I'd also, I'd like to hear from the department heads about how they feel about this.
Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With all due respect, The company I work for, the department heads have no input into the HR committee affairs. That's all done by HR and top management. I don't ever see where a department head involved in a committee wouldn't protect their associates at all cost. I don't think they're going to make a decision based on the taxpayers' impact or what's best for the county. They're always going to protect the associates, and we should protect our associates because they make up our county government. But I think it's hard to not be biased when you're a department head.
Okay, Commissioner Stinnett.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, he has, but there's nobody else asking for the floor.
You can only speak twice.
I have a point of order, Commissioner, so I'm going to have to.
I thought we could speak 3 times.
No, they're calling it twice. I was going to allow it. Local rule says only twice. Sorry. Commissioner Monroe, you will have spoken twice now. And once on, yeah, this is second. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't mean to be nitpicking, but I think that when you're saying department head, did you mean elected official? Because department heads are not the same thing as elected officials. We didn't have too many department heads, but we had one from the schools, but most of the people on there were elected officials. Where do you stop? Why is it okay for the Register of Deeds to be on there, but not the trustee? Why is it okay for, not okay for the circuit court clerk to be on there? I mean, why don't we put all the judges on there? I mean, why, if we're gonna have a HR committee, why would we pick certain elected officials to stick on there in terms of the elected offices and shut out, for example, the trustee's office? Or why would we shut out, the property assessor's office and just have the Register of Deeds on there? So the current makeup didn't include all of the elected officials. It only included some. So as far as having them on there,
Commissioner Monroe, we have a point of order raised. Let me get your mic, please, Mr. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, there's a series of questions. Why not this? Why not that? Why not that? The HR committee was formed by a resolution that stated the makeup. So I don't see how this is speaking directly to the motion that's pending.
It's perfectly fine to compare what is now with what is being proposed, because the status quo is what we have now, and this proposes changing the status quo. So it's perfectly fine to make comparisons to what is and what should be when we're talking about what should be. So I think this is a really good idea. If some of you feel like that all the elected officials should be on there as non-voting members, consider that as an amendment at some point to this. But this is a huge step in the right direction. Thank you.
Okay, the board is clear at this point. You are in favor of moving this item to the full agenda. That's the question. So vote yes if you wish to put it on the full agenda. Vote no if you wish not to put it on the full agenda. Please vote.
We have 13 voting yes, 7 voting no.
13 yes, 7 no. So the item moves to the full agenda. The next item on the agenda is item number 10. That's the resolution giving approval to increase the animal center fees for the reclaiming of animals. If you'll allow the chair just a moment of explanation, the problem we've had out there, people that have the animals that we keep collecting over and over and over and picking them up for them, and so we're going to try to encourage them to keep their own animals. Is there a motion to send it forward? Commissioner Carver, is there a second? Commissioner Melton? Board is clear. If you're in favor, I'm sorry, Commissioner Monroe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any data available about how many that are being collected and reclaimed?
We did get that information at the Animal Control Committee meeting, but I can't bring it up from memory at the moment.
Okay, could that be put in our commission packet?
It should be in the minutes from the control meeting, and that should be in the packet.
Okay, is that just from month to month, or is there a yearly total available?
It's month to month. We're seeing a dog being picked up 3 or 4 times coming into the shelter, and we've been just charging them $35. We're saying that at this point, we're trying to make it to where it really gets in their pocketbook. They need to keep their dog up or keep it and not let it run loose.
Are the animal control members actually going out actively and picking them up, or are these people bringing them to the shelter?
No, these are ones we're picking up by the animal control officers.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So it is taking manpower. Commissioner Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might add there, when they bring these dogs in, there's a lot of things that go on that people may not know about. They do give them a physical and numerous things like that. So it is a cost because they can't just pick one up and put it in it, have a disease or something like that. So they do have to check these dogs out. Thank you.
Commissioner Archer.
Yeah, it is not so much the number of animals that come in, but it's the repeat offenders that we're trying to discourage. That's the biggest problem. It's just 3 or 4 individuals a month have the same dog get brought in, and that's what we're trying to discourage. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Moon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me understand this. We have 3 or 4 or 5 offenders, but we're going to punish everyone. I do speak in favor of the motion to send this forward, and I do speak in favor of the resolution. I don't believe these fees have been raised since the animal shelter came into existence. So
No, they've never
I would
been
support it on that, but I disagree that we should use this as a way to, it will help that purpose, but should bad acts of 4 or 5 people punish the entire community? I do support this motion, and I do support this amendment, this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Monroe for the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to ask, do we really think that $15 is going to make the difference for an irresponsible pet owner?
Who does?
I've seen some very tragic, horrible conditions out there, and I doubt $15 will make a whole lot of difference. I mean, I understand what's being said, but I seriously doubt $15 will make a whole lot of difference. Thank you.
Commissioner Carver.
If I can address that, please.
Go ahead, sir.
I think it's more of the service that we're doing to the animals as they come in. It's costing us money, as was said earlier by Mr. Milton, that it's costing us a certain amount to process these animals in, making sure that they're healthy, that there's no issues that could get other animals sick, and then we have a bad problem, a virus going through or something of that nature. So there's a process of each animal when they come in being checked through and processed in. So this is to help cover those overhead costs for each animal, and those costs have gone up.
Okay, the board is clear. If you're in favor of sending this item on, please vote yes. If you're opposed, please vote no. Please vote. Commissioner Miller, can you confirm your vote, please? 20 yes, that item moves forward. Now, under announcements and statements, regular commission meeting will be April 21st at 7 p.m. There is a called commission meeting on April 18th at 5 p.m. here. Now, is there anyone who wishes to speak to an item that is not on the agenda? Come forward, please.
It is regarding that meeting on the 18th. Unfortunately, I have a prior commitment. I'm not going to be here, but I was attending the committee meeting in January, where I was a part of a conversation from Mr. Bass, who came over to speak to the commissioner and myself, and told us some information that I feel is pertinent to share with you at this time, because that information I don't believe was put in the minutes of that meeting. And so, and if you didn't listen to the news story on WBCR, then you perhaps missed out on that important information that is relevant to the discussion we're having about building something at the jail. And that was that Mr. Bass of the Tennessee Corrections Institute reported that there are 2 new jails coming online this spring, which will alleviate the overcrowding of the state prisoners throughout the state and in our jail. One of them for 8,000 prisoners in Truesdale County, and a second one for female prisoners of 2,400 in Shelby County. So I think it's very important that we recognize that a committee who only had 4 meetings last year, 4 meetings in the course of the year when they were trying to address the problem of overcrowding, and never once did this committee hear from the author and the organization that we paid $95,000 to get the recommendations from. But now that we have perhaps a quasi-excuse to build something, we are now 10 days later after this latest meeting going to have another meeting which was held last week, and now we're going to have a special called commission meeting to try and get something approved to pay an architect and somebody to build something or give us a cost to build something which is totally unnecessary as an additional expense to Blount County. And it just demonstrates, Mr. Chairman, how the chairman of that committee is furthering the agenda of the elected officials who want to see something built and the people in Blount County indebted further, and perhaps even potentially compromise our credit rating as we increase the debt service in Blount County by $60 to $120 million, and therefore subjugate more oppression on the taxpayers of Blount County by increasing the cost of the existing debt service, by increasing the total amount of debt we owe. So it's irresponsible, Mr. Chairman, in my opinion, to even consider this special called meetings resolution as an interest in the people of Blount County. And I thank you for your kind attention.
Commissioner Monroe, did you wish the floor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You need to go around to the front.
I had my light on.
Yeah, I know.
All right, I'll go down. Fine. It's good to be back here again. I've attended the budget workshops, and I was looking over the budget, and I have a couple of questions that I think need to be answered for this body. Maybe our finance director, Mr. Vineyard, could answer them. In 2014, for the fiscal year of 2015, 4 office holders were given 10% pay raises, that being the clerk, the court clerk, the highway superintendent, the mayor, and the sheriff. If I read state law correctly, and if CTAS is correctly, this body has to pass a authorizing resolution for that separate from the appropriations budget. I have been looking through the commission minutes and cannot find any such resolution, but that was the year where it was determined that the budget hearing didn't meet the state guidelines and everything had to be redone. So I would like to know, one, was there ever an authorizing resolution passed by this body to give that 10% pay increase? Otherwise, we may be in violation of the law. Secondly, as I looked at the pay that is being proposed for the office holders, it appears to me that the pay classification, that the population classification is what it's called, that is being used as the basis for the salaries of the elected officials is for the population of 125,000 to 149,999 people. Now, in the last U.S. Census, in 2010, federal U.S. Census, we were in the population class of 100 to 124,999 people. And if I read the state law correctly, and if CTAS is correct, in order to move to that next pay classification, you have to conduct a special census in order to move into that population class. And it has to meet what the Department of Economic and Community Development says are good guidelines for a census. So I called them today, and they said that Blount County had not done a census since the last U.S. 2010 census. So I would like to know, before we move forward giving these big pay raises, if there was a special census and whether or not this body ever authorized those pay raises. And if we didn't, what we're going to do about it. And if we did, great, I'd like to see it, but I think we need those questions answered before we move forward with this year's budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward, please, sir.
Dick Scott, District 10. Mr. Chairman, I just noticed that the two speakers, I don't have anything to say about what they had to say, except the first speaker, the clock didn't start until 30 seconds after he was speaking, and the second speaker went way beyond 30 minutes. Your clock is slow. Would you address that, please? Thank you. 30 seconds, yeah, not 30 minutes.
Right over the announcements. Well, yeah. There will be a beer board meeting May 10th at 6 p.m. Ms. Rhonda will send out the notices. We have an application for a beer permit.
Thank you, Mr. French, and I apologize. You did tell me you wanted to make one, and I forgot about it. Board is clear. This item is adjourned. This meeting is adjourned.